The most important financial shift that the world has experienced in more than 100 years is taking place right now. The truth of the matter is that most people are completely unaware that it is happening. In the East, a quiet revolution is taking place while Western economies continue to be preoccupied with interest rates, inflation reports, and forecasts for gross domestic product growth. A leaked internal memorandum from the BRICS nations has revealed that these countries are currently contemplating the use of a neutral, decentralized digital asset as the foundation for their new cross-border trade settlement system. This development has come as a surprise to many. Gold was not their choice. They did not produce any new fiat currency. The digital asset that they intend to use as the foundation for their new financial framework is XRP, according to the contents of the leaked document. For years, the financial elite made fun of XRP. Despite being dismissed by institutional investors as a speculative asset and labeled a banker's coin by crypto purists, XRP has quietly built infrastructure that could potentially serve as the foundation for global monetary realignment in the present day. The leaked memorandum of the BRICS nations discusses the necessity of a neutral, non-national blockchain-based bridge asset that would facilitate equitable trade between member nations. This asset would be free of Western influence, free of sanctions, and free of the dominance of settlement systems based in the United States, such as the SWIFT system. Although XRP is not mentioned by name in the document, its characteristics, such as high speed, low cost, decentralization, legal clarity, and institutional-grade compliance, are an exact match for XRP. However, this is not simply a matter of matching characteristics. This is in reference to the groundwork that has already been completed. Ripple, the organization that is responsible for XRP's major adoption push, already has partnerships in place with several nations in the BRICS bloc. Ripple has collaborated with Yes Bank and Axis Bank in India in order to implement RippleNet for the purpose of providing instant cross-border settlements. RippleNet's corridors in South Africa are connected to banks in the region. A new wave of fintech adoption is sweeping through Brazil, and this is creating an opportunity for Ripple's technology to enter the market. Blockchain-based cross-border payment models that are similar to Ripple's architecture have even been investigated by China and Russia, in spite of the fact that both countries have closed financial ecosystems. This decision was not made at the last minute. Let's be clear about that. This has been developing over a period of years. The BRICS countries became aware that they required a financial escape route as the United States weaponized its currency by imposing sanctions and international restrictions. They required a currency that no single nation could have the ability to regulate. They were in need of a bridge asset that was capable of settling trades immediately and without prejudice. That bridge is made of XRP. What are the economic implications of this situation? That means that the idea of an XRP price of $100,000 is not a pipe dream or unrealistic expectation. It is an unavoidable reality from a mathematical perspective. In the event that, and only in the event that, XRP serves as the settlement layer for even a fraction of international trade. Let's discuss some figures. The BRICS plus nations, particularly when expansion candidates such as Saudi Arabia, Iran, Turkey, and Egypt are included, account for more than $5 trillion in trade volume every year. Now consider the possibility that only 10% of this trade, amounting to $500 billion, is settled with XRP. Because of the sheer pressure of demand against the limited supply, the price of XRP would skyrocket. Even more, we are discussing trillions of dollars in annual settlement volume being processed through an asset whose market capitalization is currently less than $100 billion. And keep in mind that XRP is not just held like Bitcoin, it is actually used and is intended to be in motion. This velocity factor indicates that for $500 billion in annual settlement, it would be necessary to have tens or even hundreds of billions of dollars in XRP liquidity flowing through financial institutions around the world. As the demand for liquidity increases, the price must also increase in order to meet that demand. XRP benefits not only from speculation, but also from actual use in the real world. However, while the Eastern region is making plans and constructing, the Western region continues to slumber. Western regulators continue to lag behind the curve, embroiled in conflicts over the definitions of cryptocurrencies and prosecuting lawsuits against innovative companies. In the meantime, the leaders of the BRICS nations are working toward a future in which they leave behind dollar-based dependency in favor of digital empowerment. In their opinion, XRP is not a danger. Rather, it is a useful instrument, a tool to help achieve financial independence and autonomy. Let's take the political landscape into account as well. The United States dollar has provided the United States with unprecedented influence over international finance for several decades. Nations that did not comply with U.S. policy were sanctioned, excluded from SWIFT, and barred from participating in trade. But what are the consequences when that tool is rendered ineffective? When will it be possible to purchase Saudi oil with rupees and pay for it using XRP? When will stockpiling dollars for trade purposes no longer be necessary for Brazil and China? What happens is the conclusion of dollar hegemony, the emergence of a multipolar world in which the currency of power is not supported by a military. Cryptographic certainty serves as its foundation, and that brings us to the actual reason why XRP poses such a threat to the old guard. Speed is not the issue when it comes to the transfer of funds. Scalability is not a consideration in this case. The fact that it cannot be contained is what it is. No central bank has the authority to produce additional XRP. No government has the authority to censor a transaction that is on the XRPL. In a world where liquidity flows through a decentralized ledger, no nation can impose capital controls. Speed is not the only quality that XRP possesses. It has immunity to sovereign resistance. The BRICS countries appreciate it for precisely this reason. They have observed the freezing of assets by the United States, prohibit payments, and turn the dollar into a weapon for use over the course of decades. They have a lifeline and an escape route with XRP that allows them to trade without any political influence and in peace. Cryptocurrency is not the issue here. Freedom is. If this leaked memorandum is accurate, as all indications currently suggest that it is, then we find ourselves on the precipice of a new age in the economy, a world in which the price of oil is not calculated in petrodollars, but rather in a basket of native currencies settled in XRP, a world in which sanctions have no bearing on anything, where the cost of remittances is reduced to a fraction of a cent and where value moves at the speed of light. What is the general public or the average investor supposed to learn from this? First and foremost, it is important to understand what is at stake. This has nothing to do with turning tokens upside down or trading charts. This pertains to global control, who possesses it, who forfeits it, and the manner in which it is being redefined. BRICS is an alliance that is not small in size. It accounts for approximately 40% of the global population and nearly 30% of the TOTA. The asset will become as essential as oil was at one time if XRP becomes the trade settlement layer for this developing bloc. Secondly, gain an understanding of the window. If you think that even 10% of this story could be accurate, then you should not wait until CNBC reports on it to take action. The squeeze will have fully taken effect by that point in time. It is imperative to comprehend this transformation immediately, prior to the public recognition of the infrastructure, prior to the adoption of policies that would benefit nation-state accumulation, and prior to retail investors being priced out of the market. Third, understand that this moment is not only uncommon, it is momentous. It is not every day that you are able to observe a financial empire being challenged, not by bombs or bullets, but by code and cooperation. Although members of the BRICS alliance may not publicize their XRP strategy, there are signs that such a strategy exists: partnerships, maneuvers that are legally binding, breaches in infrastructure, and most significantly, the quiet coming from Ripple. This is due to the fact that the most impactful actions are occasionally carried out in a quiet manner. XRP could become a quiet success story as the United States continues to deal with issues such as international resentment, fiscal cliffs, and national debt. XRP could become more than just a token. It could become a lifeline to a new financial era. Therefore, you should ask yourself the following question: which side of history do you want to be on? When this shift does occur, and it will, you won't be given time to react to it. There will not be any press conferences or countdowns. There will simply be a moment, a tipping point, and after that, the price of entry will no longer be affordable. The newly formed BRICS nations have taken the initiative in the latest currency war. They selected software in lieu of gold, ledger in lieu of leverage, and neutrality in lieu of control. They selected XRP. Are you giving me your full attention right now? I hereby defer. It is important to keep in mind that I am not a recognized financial advisor.